It was not the title I missed. It was the way the barista knew my coffee order at 7:42 every morning, the way I knew which conference room had the broken chair. The vocabulary of meetings I had spoken so fluently, I had stopped noticing it was a language. I had built an identity I did not know I was building. And when I left, I learned exactly how much of me I had outsourced to a building I no longer walked into. That sense of belonging, woven from the tiniest threads of predictability, had become a safety net I never realized was even there, catching me each day without my ever needing to look down. If you are staring at an empty calendar and a resignation email you keep rereading, this is for you. If the spreadsheet says your money will last and your chest still tightens at 8 a.m., you are not wrong. You are seen. This feeling, this quiet disorientation, is not a failure of nerve or a lack of planning. It is the natural human response to a profound shift in the architecture of your life. It is the silence after the music stops, a silence that can feel deafening at first, stretching out into the long, unstructured hours of the day where a packed schedule used to live. Before I left, I spent 30 years in the same building. I had the same parking space for 12 years. I knew the names of 3 security guards. I knew the exact temperature the air was set to on Thursday mornings. I was good at my job. I was paid well. I had friends who were also my calendar. But there was a moment, a small thing, that felt like a crack. At 49 on a Tuesday, I walked past the staff kitchen and pretended not to hear my name. I did not want a lunch invitation I could not accept. I did not want to tell them I was leaving. I was already practicing my departure. That small act of avoidance was a rehearsal for a much larger separation, a quiet severing of a tie before the official cut. I felt a pang of guilt, but also a strange sense of self-preservation, as if I need to begin detaching myself piece by piece to make the final goodbye bearable. The sound of their laughter from the kitchen, a sound I was usually a part of, suddenly felt like it was coming from a different world. I was already on the outside, looking in. And in that moment, I understood that leaving wasn't just about walking out a door. It was about unlearning 100 small ways of being. Maybe you have your own version of this. The rituals give you your day. I thought the rituals were small. I thought they were trivial, just the mundane connective tissue holding the important parts of the day together. Every morning my badge clicked against the reader at 7:58. The sound was a starting pistol for my professional self. The barista, a young woman named Chloe, would already have my name on a sticky note. That small daily recognition affirmed I belonged there. There were 2 specific keyboard taps I used to log in. A muscle memory so ingrained it felt like breathing. The team met in the same room with the same wobbly chair in the corner. Then a day came when I did not swipe a badge. The silence in my hand where the click should have been was jarring. I did not stand in that line for coffee. I wasn't smelling the burnt sugar syrup. I wasn't hearing the hiss of the espresso machine. I was at home, staring at my own coffee maker, feeling like a stranger in my own kitchen. I had no sticky note with my name on it, no small signal that I was in the right place at the right time. The absence of these tiny repeated actions left a surprisingly vast, unsettlingly quiet void. That was the day I realized my calendar had been a map of me. It wasn't just a tool for managing time. It was a document that confirmed my existence. It confirmed my relevance. It confirmed my purpose. Each blocked off hour, each meeting invitation, each color-coded project. They were points on a grid that told me who I was supposed to be and where I was supposed to be going. Without that map, I felt adrift in an ocean of unmarked hours. The language of work becomes your voice. I had a set of words I used without thinking, a corporate shorthand that greased the wheels of every interaction. I could say, "Let's touch base," and people knew I meant a brief informal check-in. I could talk about leveraging synergies, optimizing workflows, and watch others nod in complete understanding. These phrases were a shared code, a sign that we were all part of the same tribe, fluent in the same professional dialect. After I left, I started to notice this work speak creeping into my life at home like an invasive species in a garden. I told my husband, "Let's table that discussion," when we were deciding between pasta and tacos for dinner. He paused and then he laughed. It was a kind laugh, not a mocking one, but in that moment, I felt myself shrink, like I was performing a role from a play that had already closed. That was the day I heard my work voice in a kitchen at 9:14 p.m. The voice that had once sounded authoritative and competent now just sounded out of place. I had spent so long speaking the language of productivity that I had almost forgotten how to speak the language of just being. The silence that followed his laugh was filled with my own internal questions. Who was I without the jargon? I found myself pausing before I spoke, editing myself, trying to strip away the corporate veneer. It was harder than I thought it would be. The places hold pieces of you. The building wasn't just a structure of concrete and glass. It was a repository of my life for 3 decades. Its corners and corridors knew me intimately. The third-floor window seat in the quiet hallway was my sanctuary on rainy days. A place where I could watch the drops race down the glass and think. I had a desk plant, a resilient little ficus I had named Ruth. It had survived 3 office moves and countless long weekends. The boxes I packed in my final week felt like small funerals. When the movers sealed the last box, I touched the stark black letters of the label. My name, my home address. I did not say my name aloud, but in that quiet, empty office, I felt like I had been boxed up too. Places keep our names long after we are gone. They hold the echo of our footsteps, the warmth on a handle, the ghost of our presence in a favorite chair. Leaving wasn't just not going there anymore. It was surrendering the geography of my own history. I had mapped my identity onto that space, and now the map was being redrawn without my consent. Walking out for the last time, I glanced back at the darkened windows. Would anyone sit in that seat on a rainy day and feel the same peace? Would someone water Ruth, or would she vanish into anonymous greenery? The threads that stitched me to that place were being pulled loose. I did not know when the loss had turned into something else. It took months before I could name the feeling that settled in its place. I was sitting in my kitchen at 7:42 a.m., the exact time I used to pick up my coffee. I had made my own. No barista, no sticky note. The house was profoundly quiet. On a strange impulse, I set a small alarm. The purpose? To walk to the front door, open it, close it, and walk back to the kitchen. I needed the motion. I needed the ritual of departure and arrival. I felt foolish performing this small private play, but I did it anyway. The turn came slowly. Not a lightning flash of insight. A sentence drifted in and refused to leave. The things I thought were me were often the things I had lent to my job. Say that aloud. Let it sit with you for a moment. What I started to notice was this. Work gave me scripts to follow, roles to play, the leader, the mentor, the problem solver. Work gave me a mirror every day, steady and clear, because everyone else was using the same one, reflecting the same values back at me. Outside of that building, the mirror is warped. It shows edges and angles you never saw before. It reflects a stranger you do not fully recognize. There is no shared script, no uniform role to slip into. The reflection is just you, raw, undefined, waiting to be seen on your own terms. This realization was not comforting at first. It was terrifying, but it was also the first moment I felt a flicker of something other than loss, a flicker of curiosity. I began to test what of me was truly mine. I didn't start with big questions, but with small, gentle inquiries. What would I do with this hour if I did not have to sound like I was in a meeting? What would I read if no one asked for key takeaways? What would I write if no one else would see it? I sat with those questions and let them breathe. The answers were not dramatic. They were small, stubborn, quiet. I learned I liked very early morning walks, before the sun was fully up, when the world felt like it was still mine alone. I discovered a quirky radio program about historical oddities that aired at 6:20 a.m. I found a deep pleasure in writing a single perfect sentence and not asking it to do anything but exist. These were not accomplishments. They were anchors, small personal points of connection to myself. What I know now is not a fix, not a 5-step plan. It is a change in how I name things, a subtle shift in perspective. If I could go back, I would tell my younger self this: keep a list of small rituals that belong only to you. Not tasks, not roles, small, private, seemingly useless things. A playlist only for rainy afternoons, a notebook only for sentences no one will ever see, a single beautiful mug that is yours and only yours. Bring those things out often. Protect them like small fires against the wind. They are not indulgences, they are necessities. They will remind you who you are when the job title is gone, when the calendar is empty, when the barista no longer knows your name. If you are 52 or 57 or 45 and thinking of leaving or have already left, notice what you miss that is not a title. Notice the time you used to stand in line. Notice the language you borrowed. Then name one small, private ritual and put it on your calendar for tomorrow. Let it be a way back to yourself.